Hi, everyone. Devorah Esther here, and welcome to another edition of Talking Torah with Devorah. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. This way you can be notified of all the upcoming shirim and joining on the fun. And speaking of joining, do join in this mitzvah and share this podcast with someone on your social media. You never know who can use the content that we're going to talk about today. And today we're talking about a topic that's very much on trend. And unless you've been hiding under a rock, just about everyone you know these days is talking about self-care. And I mean it, let's face it, life has gotten so busy for so many of us that people have forgotten to take care of the most important thing, and that is yourself. And many of you know, if you don't have the koyak to do something, you can really find yourself running on empty. And even worse, chas v'shalom, you could bring about an illness for yourself. And while many people are looking for a way to recharge the battery of life, the truth is for the Jewish nation, the best self-care is soul care. And my guest today knows all about this. She is a wife, a mother of four. She is the broker and owner of ES Realty in Brooklyn, New York. And she's also the co-founder of an organization that I'm so excited to tell you about today, and that's HaBayit, which provides short-term furnished apartments for Jewish people coming into New York for medical treatment. And I'd like to welcome Eva Shammah to the channel. Eva, how are you?
Hi, Devorah. Thank you so much for having me on your show. So excited.
I'm so excited to have you on because, again, like I said, unless you've been under a rock, like these days, I don't know if it was the pandemic that people have just, where we were really struggling before. I think a lot of us, the pandemic put a lot of pressure on, and people are really struggling, whether it's emotionally, financially, and all these things are taking a toll. And we just find ourselves busier, and no one's pumping the brakes and saying, hey, you know, I mean, you know a lot about this.
Yes, definitely.
So, growing up, first of all, for everybody who's watching, everybody knows I'm a Brooklyn gal. You're a Brooklyn gal, right? So Brooklyn gals in the house, right? Tell me, Jewish life, all life, let's put it this way, all life, not just Jewish life, has gotten really busy over the years. And, tell me a little bit about your upbringing, because I remember when I was young, like, I remember when Total Phone came out, and that was like a huge thing, right? That it was like getting your daughter off the phone. You couldn't call up past 9. And so there was still some boundaries, but we didn't have the cell phones. We definitely did not have the computers to the extent that we have them now. And it really was a lot of face-to-face time. So tell me a little bit about how you grew up, and because life is very different now for both of us, I think.
Definitely. It's so much, life now is just so fast-paced. Everyone's going from one thing to the next to the next. We don't have time to sit and to think and to breathe and to just focus on what we want to focus on. Life was definitely different. I'm the oldest of 9 siblings.
So that's got to be a busy household.
We're 8 girls and 1 boy, thank God. And a lot of fighting, a lot of playing, a lot of mixture of both. I
feel like your mom really had to have organization down then, right? Because it's like when you have, especially 8 girls, momish, like 8 girls, like I think one girl is enough. Like I am too much. I always say to my husband, like we have 2 sons. I couldn't imagine having 8 girls. Like I think I drive myself crazy.
You know what? It was very interesting, and sometimes it was crazy, sometimes it was fun, but now, Baruch Hashem, we're all best friends. Like it's so special now. Like
it's really special because the dynamics with women is always a tough one. It either works or it doesn't, and sometimes I feel like with women there's no in between. So I think it's really good. Like, did you have this foundation earlier on with your sisters and your mother, really, to kind of see? When life is getting busy, because listen, your mom, I'm sure, with 9 children, at some point was saying, Mamish, I give up. Like, how is she keeping it together? How did she teach you guys to keep this together?
My mother was always very spiritual, always very, even though we were always Orthodox, but we wore pants, we weren't as religious as we are now. And slowly, she started to grow herself. To the point where she started putting the skirt on, she started putting the wig on, and she wanted me and my other siblings to follow in her footsteps.
I got to interrupt because this is a very, very famous topic on this channel, because a lot of parents that watch this channel, they're in this boat, right? Like when they get the epiphany and then all of a sudden they start becoming frum, and the kids sometimes are not young. So they're at an age where there's all this pushback. mean, was this going on with you guys?
Definitely. I was already a teenager, and my mother, slowly, she got more religious herself, and she tried to get me and my siblings to follow in her steps. And I was always a free spirit, have my own mind. And I was like, oh, no, no, that's not happening. And I just, I was very like, I'm doing what I want to do. This is what I want. I went out with my jeans. I did what I wanted. And that's why sometimes parents will come to me and ask me for advice. And I'll say, it needs to come on its own. Like, you can't force a child.
That's very true.
100%. Like, you can't force a child to do what you want to do, because it needs to come from in here.
And that's something I talk about a lot, because I always feel like, again, you get the light bulb moment and things start to look clear, because whenever the lights are on, you can see. But
Right.
we think that because the lights are on for us, that everyone, like, why can't you see what I can't see? But it's because they're
Right.
still in that choshek, they're still in that darkness. And so let me tell you, like, I can only imagine the fights that were happening, because there's already, like, even in a perfect situation, there's already, like I said, women, they're stressed. There's, you've got adolescents coming in, you've got, like, the pressures of society where you're starting to take on. Now, here you are, of all things, your mom is starting to become frum, and she's starting to, upgrade in her tzniut. Now, let me ask you, like, were your friends this way? Were they saying, Eva, what are you doing?
No, so my friends were all, the way I was, and that was the school I was in. It's an amazing Orthodox school, but it's just, it's not the way everyone dresses wasn't as sanua as my mother was. And so, my friends didn't really say anything because I wasn't changing. Only my mother was. Maybe some of my sisters said, okay, Ma, I'll do what you want me to do. And like, they followed in the footsteps, but I was never that girl. I always had my own mind. Like, I always did what felt right.
I'm telling you, you and I, we've had some private conversation. I really think we're kindred spirits. We're really kindred spirits. I mean,
Definitely.
it's tough. I mean, it's funny because, but I almost feel like, because it's so, like, you're so tough, right? Like, that when you take it on, you take it on.
Oh yeah, whatever I do, I give my.
Robinu said there are new neck people, like they're stiff necked people. Yeah, but when we get it, we get it.
Right, right. Like, whatever I do, I give myself 120%. Like, I don't do things halfway. I'm always like all the way up,
I mean, your mom, it's funny because, I have children who are older, they're adults. So I always, I've always been waiting. Like, everybody says, one day your children will thank you. They will, apologize to you. And those things are starting to happen. Do you find yourself having this conversation with your mom yet?
Yeah, we're very close now, my mother and I. We've always been close, but like, during the teenage years, it was definitely not always so smooth because we had different ideas and different opinions. But yes, definitely. We definitely are all on the same page now.
I mean, it's really beautiful to see. So now you're all on the same page. And, like everything else, like, I got to tell you, like I said, when I was coming up, I find myself having this conversation with the new generation that's coming into the workforce, right? So they've grown up in this technology age, and that's all they know. And it's amazing because they actually, like, one of them actually said to me, like, what was life like, even in the workforce, without all this technology? And I got to tell you, like, it was funny because I remember when technology was first starting to come in, it made life easier. And you're like, wow, how have we been living? And now I look back and I say, wow, I wish we could go back to those days. I think that, in some ways, technology has made it so that we are no longer having this, like, human connection. Everything is on a text, everything is laugh out loud, everything is just so wonderful. And especially, like, if people, like, with all the social media, and there's always this big push about how things look so perfect. And I'm wondering too if a lot of that plays into this whole idea that people cannot live up to what I always call an Instasham life, right? It's not the true picture. And I remember one time somebody posted a picture of, just the edited version, and the background was all this chaos going around. And that's really what it is. I mean, how do you think life has changed since you've been young?
It's really true, everything that you're saying. I mean, life has changed in so many ways. Very, very hard to get a face-to-face with people. Very hard to have human connection. I try to put things in place for myself. This way, it doesn't get out of hand. Like, I have time with each of my kids, alone time every single day, where there's no phone, there's no tablets, there's nothing around us except for us two, human connection. And I stress that with my whole family, my husband, my kids, my siblings. We always need to have time for each other. Alone, one-on-one or with a group, but without the Instagram, without the WhatsApp, without the, I don't even have any other apps. I only have Instagram and WhatsApp. But I know that there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's all these different things that are just, taking
I
over.
gotta tell you, I mean, I have the YouTube, obviously, and I have the WhatsApp. And, I mean, it's my husband and I don't know, we are really like protesting the whole social media movement to an extent because I think you need it. I think there's times when you need it. Like someone like yourself, you have a realty company, which I want to get into. You have this new organization that you're launching. And social media has its place where you can really get the word out. Listen, how much of a boom has Torah had since social media came out? And I think what we learned in the pandemic is that Zoom became the new best friend, where people now were logging in from all over the world. Remember when there was nothing to do, we couldn't go anywhere, and all you had was the Shiram, right? And so I think a lot of us are like, don't take that away.
I think that it's very important that if someone's going to have all this technology anyway, that they could use it for the positive. And that's really what I try to do. I need to have WhatsApp for my business and for my organization, regardless. So what I do with WhatsApp is I try to do as much chesed as I can, help as many people as I can, learn as much Torah as I can on the WhatsApp and on the Instagram. And I think Hashem is smiling on us that we're taking something that could be so, complicated and so dirty in a sense, and we're making it into something so kadosh.
I think you're 100% right. And I think, the other thing I notice is that, again, we are in a very trying time. I think it's not just Klal Yisrael, but really the whole world. I mean, I've literally, again, like listening to my coworkers who are Goyim, even the ones that have grown up Catholic, generations of Catholics, they're really starting to disconnect from religion. And this is something we're starting to see with a lot of the new generation. But you find them that they're very depressed. It's like they don't have an anchor anymore. And I think a lot of times they're getting their social cues from social media, but from people who have mamash, like no seichel, no nothing. I mean, I think, you can find an old quote, put it out on Instagram, and all of a sudden you become Gandhi. And everyone wants to follow you, right? Like you're so wise. And really, I find that there's a switch. And sometimes, what I like to bring, especially with my viewers, is the emet, right? I want you to know what the truth is. Because, living this, always go, 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 it's not going to sustain itself. So what do you do, like, to really recharge this battery? Because for me, what I find is that you can get a pedicure and you can get a facial, you can get a massage, you get your hair done. And all these things are good and they're fine and they have their place. But I really feel like unless you are doing what feeds your soul, it's almost like the soul without a body. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to function in life. You don't have the gas really to go on. So what do you do? What do you find yourself? I mean, you are moving in, like, take me through your day and take me through a time like when you were just saying, I've got to stop. I've got to pause. I got to bring Hashem back into the center. Tell me about your life.
Okay, so first of all, my life is, thank God, very, very busy. I don't stop from the minute I wake up till the minute I go to sleep. And sometimes that's early hours of like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm always doing something. I love it. It's something that I just enjoy. I can't sit still. But you have to know that I keep Hashem with me all day. The nature of my business is so fast paced, so nerve wracking. There's so many things that are not in my control. If I didn't keep Hashem with me and I didn't just say, en od mivado, whatever it's going to be, it's all up to, I would literally go out of my mind. You have to realize that in my business, there's so many steps that I have to take in order to make a sale. Let's say someone needs to sell their house. They call up 6 different brokers. So let's say I'll be one of them. That's not up to me at the end of the day. I'm going to do my hishtalut and I'm going to, show them my pros of how I could sell their house. But at the end of the day, it's up to Hashem whether they're going to give me their listing, give me their house. And then we have to go to selling the house. We have to market. And obviously we do have hishtadlut in there, but it's not up to me if I'm going to have the perfect buyer come to buy this house, because I tell this to Hashem every day. I said, Hashem, every house has its buyer that's meant for this house. Please send me that buyer. It's not up to me. It's up to him.
That's a great prayer. That's really a great prayer. And to think about all this stuff, like just to backtrack, all the stuff that goes into it. First of all, I'm into video editing production. I already know on that end, marketing, what goes into that. And to think, this is all for like one property. Then you got to turn around and do it again for 5 others, you know?
Right. 20 others. And then it's like, okay, so finally you find the buyer, but is he going to get the financing? Is he going to get the mortgage? Is everything going to work out? Is everything work out with the title, with the appraisal, with the inspection? There's like 1,000 different things. And I had a different agent, a new agent, come to me once and say, we were doing a deal together. And she's like, how are you so chill? Like, how are you so chill? There's so much money on the line here. And it's like, you have the client's lives on the line. And I said, it's not up to me. It's up to Hashem.
Which is probably why it works, because you realize, you know, it's at the end of the day. And that's, you know, it's funny because we're starting a series on this channel called Bitachon. I don't know if you remember, Eva, like a few years ago, the big push was emunah, 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 emunah. And I think that a lot of us, we get it, right? There's a Hashem, he can do it. And I think now the big push is bitachon. Hashem can do it, but will he do it for me? And I think that's where people are finding themselves now. I mean, what you're talking about is a real big step in bitachon, because you're really saying to Hashem, I'm going to put the effort, but I realize this is all just for show. There's nothing that's in my control. You have that best buyer, and to an extent, you have this best agent. Maybe I'm not that one, and give me the grace and the guidance to accept that. I mean, how did you get to that point? Because let me tell you, that's a very hard place for people to make that transition from emunah into bitachon. And you are a living example, because to be successful in real estate, it's all these things have to come together, and just, you know, all the stars have to align, put it that way. You know, real estate is very fast moving. There's a lot of people involved, and everything just has to go right. How do you keep that together? How do you grow in that bitachon?
So it's definitely still a growing process. Every single day I have to strengthen myself, and I get tests many times where I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And then I say, wait, you know what? Like, I pray every day that I should have a successful, productive day with healthy boundaries. Because in the beginning of my real estate career, probably like 11, 12 years ago, I remember being a young broker, new in the business, and I was up till 3 a.m. every night. I have to tell this client about this, and I have to do this, and I have to, and I just wasn't.
Hustle culture, yes.
Yeah, until I came to that realization that, like, hello, like, this is not you. This is not, you're overworking yourself, and it's not in your control. Like, do the best you can with healthy boundaries, because really, if I want to, I could be working nonstop and never stop and like never finish, because that's just the nature of the business. There's just so much going on.
That's definitely hustle culture. And I mean, I'm sure, you know, like, this is a real problem. I think this is also contributing. You know, we hear about, you know, the great resignation, this and that. And, you know, I think COVID did really reset a lot of things for people. And I think people are starting to realize, like, I'm not going to, first of all, it's not just the Jews, it's the Goyim too. They're saying, I'm not going to kill myself anymore for what? And it's funny because I think a lot of Jews realized this when this whole shift came with the pandemic, because people who were riding high suddenly were out. And people who were out for so long were suddenly riding high. So, I mean, you know, this, you know, bitachon is something, like you said, it's something that you're working on. I think to an extent, it's something you'll always be working on.
100%.
And I want to ask, like, how do you find time? How is it that you're bringing Hashem in with me? You know, if I have a gal on the line who writes out to me and says, you know, my whole life is about to blow up, you know, I just can't find time for myself to make it all. I want to grow in spirituality. I just can't find the time. What do you say to them?
So, first of all, even if there's no time, connect with Hashem while you're in the middle of doing whatever you're doing. Now, you know, my kids are a little bit older. I still need to make the time. I set my alarm clock every day. I just started doing this a few weeks ago, half an hour before the kids wake up, so that I'm alone in my house, not alone, but they're all sleeping. And I pray to Hashem, was trying to do with kavanah. This way I could connect with Hashem on a level where not everyone's screaming in the background. But everyone has a different place in their life. Everyone is at a different time in their life. And I remember when I had little infants, I wasn't doing that. You're lucky if I got to sleep the whole night. I wasn't waking up early to pray, but I would do it while my kids were rolling around on the floor or in between changing diapers. There's always opportunity to connect with Hashem. It doesn't have to be, when you're not busy, because I'm never not busy. I'm always busy. While I'm in my car, on the way to appointments, in between phone calls, I'll talk to Hashem. Also, another thing that really helps me to connect with Hashem, and everyone's different, but this really is something that's like my love language, is chesed. I love chesed. It's always been something that I learned from my parents from when I was very young. My mother we were always like visiting people that we didn't even know. And we always had people sleeping by our house. So like something that makes me very happy is chesed. And I do that whenever I can. And even if it's just like, somebody tells me they're struggling with money, I'll just post on my Instagram, hi, I'm trying to collect a few dollars for somebody. And whatever I could give them, I give them. Or like if I have a business that needs help, I'll advertise them and I won't charge them. And I did this even before I had a following on Instagram, even when I had 100 followers. I just, whatever I could do, I'll do for people. And that makes me happy. And that connects me with Hashem.
So Eva, I am so glad that you brought this up, because I think this is another thing that trips a lot of us up. It's almost like keeping up with the Joneses. And there's always a part of your life, whether it's spirituality, whether it's financial, whatever it is. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that you are in different phases of your life. And I think that it's always important to stop at some point and say, this is where we are. Hashem, this is what I can give you. Help me with this. And right. Like you said, when you have little ones, you may not be doing a Shemona Esrei. I mean, that's the reality of it. Like if you have little ones,
say the Amidah when I had little kids, but I spoke to Hashem in my own words, and that was my connection.
And I think that so long as you're connecting, I mean, you do what you can. And when you start growing out of that phase, then you reevaluate again. Hashem, this is where I am. Help me to make the most of where I am right now. And it's funny because it's like, even in Gan Eden, Hashem opens up to Adam and he says, where are you? And literally he's asking, take stock. Where are you? Where are you holding? Right.
Right.
And I think that this is a question that Hashem is always asking us. Where are you? Right. I always feel like he's saying, Devorah Esther, where are you? Sometimes I always think he's saying, Devorah Esther, what are you thinking? but I mean, I think that it's so important, the busier that we get to start, I say, my thing is that if you are really so busy and you want to start taking this upon yourself to connect with Hashem daily, set yourself an alarm, right? Like if everybody gets to take a lunch break or whatever your lunch break, or if you know what your day is going to be, try to plan ahead for that day and say, at 10 o'clock, that's the only opening I have, but I'm going to take a break. Or, 5:05, when I'm in the car, I'm going to have that alarm go off and say, I'm going to connect with Hashem. I really believe that the best self-care is your soul care. And like you said, if you're not doing what fulfills you, like for you, it was Hesed, and Hashem has taken that, and I want to get into these, how you parlayed from real estate and Hashem really started taking your desire for Chesed, and really, I mean, what he has done with your life is just amazing. And I think that's what it is, that Hashem honors even that little teeny bit that you put in, that you plant in, this little seed that you plant in. And like flowers, a lot of times you will not see anything for a long time. I mean, we just went through Tu B'Shvat. I mean, when will we actually see the flowers plant from that, even though we know that the growth is already happening? And I think for a lot of people, you need to just take stock of where you are. This is where I'm holding. Hashem, this is what I can give to you. I want to give more. Help me find that time to give you more. And for you, like you said, it was Hesed. You had a lot of, example of this in your life with your mom, which, bless her heart, she's such a tzedekah. I always say, listen, 2 kids was a lot for me. I don't even know how you do it with 4. Like 2 was a lot for me. So I always say that anyone that had more than 2, even 2 kids, listen, if you have any kid, especially these days, you really need a trophy, because it's hard to be a parent these days. There's no question about it. And it's not just you that wants to get, that the Satan wants to get sucked into all this, go. It's also the children. I mean, putting boundaries in for the kids. How are you dealing with that?
boundaries. So I don't let my kids have anything, anything. They don't watch TV.
Oh my gosh. Listen, you really are going to get the Hero of the Year award. I mean, is that a fight going on? Because talk about like, I remember when my kids were young, and remember the iPod. Remember the iPod was coming out, and
Yes,
that was the big thing. And my husband and I kind of saw where this was going because there were already cell phones out, right? And we saw where, and that was a huge fight.
right.
I mean, how are you keeping, like, I really got to hear this. How are you keeping this together with the kids?
They
What are
just
the age of the kids, by the way? What are the age of your kids?
Baruch Hashem, my oldest is 15 and my youngest is 7.
And you managed to keep the technology out. Oh my gosh.
No, I guess no internet, no videos. Once in a while I'll let them watch they'll watch like Jewish music videos, or there was a point where I was letting them watch like innocent, I don't even know what they were, like Thomas the Train and stuff like that. But I noticed that even if it was something so completely innocent, they acted a little mishuga after. Like
Yeah.
they,
And you have to be so careful. I mean,
yeah,
there's all of this grooming that's going on now, and the things that we think are innocent. And
definitely.
you have to be so cognizant. I just want to commend you. I mean, I really, Mama, should have to commend you because, listen, my husband and I thought we had it rough, but we say today, like, thank God our kids were not young. Like, they're not in school, they're not dealing with the social media
Right.
pressure.
Right.
I mean, this would be a totally different year. I mean, if we had children today, I mean, I'd be like, oh my gosh, everyone, please just set up a Tehillim chat for me because I'm going downhill fast.
No, but it's scary. Like I would never want my kids. I'm on Instagram because I need to for business, but like I would never want my kids on Instagram. It's just like it's a like an unknown world, especially for kids.
And it's very scary. Things are changing. I think, the the exposure to danger for children is unlike we've never seen it before. I mean, I think like yourself, I've heard for years how the sages never wanted to be in this day and age, and I can really see why. I mean, the
Right.
fact that they were willing to go through all the hardships and trouble in their time and still say, I don't want to be in those last days, really goes to show you like what we're up against. And
Definitely.
that's why I say it's so important that if we as the adults are not taking the time to connect with Hashem, then we've not passed anything down to the children. And if they don't know how to cry out to Hashem, then when trouble comes, they're really in trouble.
Right. So we have to be the example.
And so, I mean, I think that's what it's so great about your mom, having this epiphany in Sniut, and it starts out usually with women, this is how it starts out, right? And so she's giving you this Sniut, she's giving you this chesed, and you're going through life. You have this very busy realty company, and then Hashem starts to put into your mind an idea. And for everybody who's on this channel, who's been following my channel for years, you've kind of gone through my journey with me. I've had a lot of illness. And thank you to everyone who's always reached out and said, I'm davening for you. I'm saying Tehillim for you. But this was something that when I saw it, I was like, somehow, some way, I've got to be a part of it. I was so eager to come out and say, listen, here's some marketing video. I mean, I really love what Hashem put into your head. Tell me about the genesis of this project. And it's called HaBayit. And when you guys hear it, it's mind blowing, like what Hashem did with this desire. This is what I mean. This is what I tell my people all the time. You just have to have the desire, right? And Hashem will honor that, right? When you do Hashem's will, He will do your will. And He gave you, He just blossomed this desire to do chesed in such a way that, mamish, it's life changing, it's revolutionary. I want you to talk a little about. I'm so excited. I'm going to give you the floor. Talk about it.
So HaBayit is something very special, very touching, because we've all seen or felt illness in our life in someone that we know. What happened was, through my life as a broker, many times people have been calling and saying, hi, do you have a apartment I need for 10 days, or I need an apartment for 3 months, or I need an apartment for two nights. I need to get a chemo treatment, or I need to get a surgery, or I need to get radiation, and or I need for a little boy to get so many different things we were getting calls for. And as busy as I was, those are the kind of calls where I would just drop everything and say, okay, let me see what I could do. But unfortunately, in the area that I live in Brooklyn, there's really no such thing as a furnished short-term apartment. And even if we could find a landlord that would say, okay, I'll give you the apartment for 2 weeks. What about the beds? What about the couch? And even if by miracle we find a furnished apartment, there's no towels, there's no sheets, there's no linens, there's no pots, there's no pans. Like, how is that going to work? So year after year after year, I would keep getting these calls, and I would be very, very rarely would I be successful in helping these people find.
Which must have been like a gut punch to you, because it's like you want to help so bad and you can't help.
Yes, I wanted to help so bad, and I just couldn't do anything. And I would ask, we have a broker chat, anyone have? And everyone would try to scramble because everybody wants to help, but we wouldn't really be able to help. It was very hard. So it's actually a story behind the story. I'll give you the deeper story behind it.
Do that. I really love, because I love hearing how Hashem, when Hashem puts it in somebody's mind and to see it come to the full fruition. I love hearing about this. So tell me about it.
One of the agents I work with, his name is Elliot. He got a call from someone that wanted to sell their house. So we went to see the house, and we were very upset because we saw that the house was full of mold, and the people that lived there were elderly, and they were both very sick from the mold. And our heart broke. We couldn't handle. We said, this is terrible. Till we sell the house, it could be 3 months. It could take time till we get the contract, till we close. We got to get them out of this house. So we said, let's pool our money together. Let's rent them a house, because they didn't have the funds to do it. We'll sign the lease for them. We'll co-sign, and we'll pay the rent.
Wow. I just have to tell you, that is a leap that most people would not have taken.
We couldn't. I'm allergic to mold, and to see that, I couldn't even be in the house for a minute. I couldn't imagine someone living there. It was just something it was heartbreaking. So we rented the apartment for them. We paid the rent, and we sold their house. And we said, when we sell their house, the money that's coming for the commission, we're going to take it and we're going to do something good with it. It was Elliot's idea. He said, we're going to do something good. I said, okay, what are we going to do? He said, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So now we're almost ready to close, and we still don't know what we're doing with the money that's going to come in. And in one of those days, I got a call from somebody. Hi, I need an apartment for a young baby getting a surgery. And I said, oh my gosh, I don't have anything. Then light bulb, like I said.
You've had this call, for years on end, this is, and it's always gut punching you. So
yes.
You get this call, and the lightning hits.
Hashem sent it, and I called Elliot. I said, this is what we're doing. And then we called other brokers that we were friends with, Natalie, Lillian, Regine, Paulie. Do you want to do this project with us? And they said, yes, absolutely. And so we didn't figure out what we wanted to do. We were going to buy a building. I don't think the commission was enough to buy a building. So Elliot said, we're going to rent something. And we had a house that we recently had sold to one of our clients. We called him up. We said, hi, could we rent this apartment from you? And he said, yeah, sure. So we did that. We fixed it.
Did he just say, yes, sure? Was it did you have to convince him? Did you have to tell him the plan?
Told him the plan. He actually loved the plan. He was inspired. He loved it. He actually helped us with fixing the apartment. We took the money that we made in the commission. We put a new kitchen. We put a new floor. We painted. And he was also chipping in and helping fix the apartment up himself so that we could save money. He loved the idea. He was very, very inspired. And we fixed it all up. We made it stunning. It was really an old apartment. It was very scary to see the before and after pictures. At first, when I walked in, I was like, oh no, this is not.
Work, Hashem, what did you put me into? This will never work.
Yeah, but Elliot had the vision. He's like, no, don't worry. We're gonna get the kitchen. And then Natalie came in we have a design team that all do it from chesed, from their heart, and they made it. And then also, just to tell you, we called up a few members of the community. We said, this is the project we're doing. Do you want to be involved? And you can't imagine the outpour of, we were getting free furniture, free.
I can attest to this, guys, because I'm actually on the chat for HaBayit, and I got to tell you, it's really like it's like mind blowing what's happening, because they're like rushing to, like, help out in any way. When something comes out, does someone have, and you can fill in the blank, whatever it is, and somebody will either get it, buy it, bring it over there, like whatever, cook, drive,
Right.
like whatever it is. It's like it's almost like it's morphed from just having this furnished apartment into being almost like a concierge for your stay here. It's really like, and if you look at it, it's just become, it's funny. Hashem always says, right, to always be poor among you, and the ones that are sick. It's an opportunity for people to do chesed, and Hashem has really opened up that door for people who want to help in some way do that. I mean, what are you thinking about what is your, I can't imagine what you're feeling, from this little idea to see what's going on, and how is the community really embracing this idea? What's going on with that?
So I really think that Hashem took over with this project. Like, we have nothing to do with it. We took one tiny little step, and Hashem took over, because today it's 1 year later, and we have 14 apartments. 14 apartments that are all stunning. And with all the stuff inside were donated. I'm actually in HaBayit right now because my kids were all home. I said we had this apartment. Somebody left Thursday and somebody's coming this week. So I said, in between the people, I'll just come film here. And maybe I'll show you the apartment if you want to see it.
That would be wonderful. So you can kind of see what goes on with this organization. Yeah. It's not just an apartment. It's literally, when we talk about the sukkah, that hug from Hashem, this is almost like someone receiving a hug from Hashem via the whole community. Continue on. It's such a beautiful thing. It really is heartwarming.
And the community, it became like a community organization, because it's not just like us women handling it. It's the men coming. They're building furniture. They're inviting the other people for Shabbat. They're taking them to shul. The kids, even my kids, the class. The school classes are making projects for each HaBayit. So we see the Shadei Torah girls school, they made Havdalah sets for all the HaBayit apartments. It's a special card with the HaBayit Beracha on it. And inside they put like a handmade candle, besamim, grape juice. We had also a group of boys make Shabbat packages. We had young boys come build furniture with their parents. Like, so many different things where it became like a family organization and everyone is involved. And it's just very beautiful to see. Also, we became like family to these families coming in. I have now friends all over the world: Argentina, Mexico, Israel, London, I don't know, all different states.
I can only imagine. I mean, and to think, like you said, this is now blossoming in. You've got all these apartments. You're now going into other countries. You can just see where Shem is going to take this. This is going to be huge.
Another lady, she stayed by us. She lives in Argentina, and she's opening up a HaBayit Argentina.
This is so beautiful, because, I can tell you, as somebody who has gone through illness, who has gone through, where am I going to get the best care? And sometimes it's not always where you live. A lot of times you have to venture out, and sometimes you want to go get that care with that best doctor that Hashem is sending to you. But it's going to be at such a cost. You'd have to get a hotel room, the travel, and again, like you said, it's linens, it's this, it's that. And for a Jewish person, it's like 2.0, because it's like, where's the kosher food coming from? What about Shabbos? What about all these things? And, HaBayit really takes care of all of that. They really think of everything. And if there is a need, it goes right out in the chat. I can't imagine that this is not bringing the community even closer as well, that this has got to be bringing everybody together.
Definitely. It definitely is bringing everyone together. And the people that are coming are so inspired and touched, because they're like, their head is not even on straight. And they're going through this illness. And I know, because one of my siblings had cancer when we were young. You don't like, it's hard to explain, where like
you're on autopilot. You're just doing, you don't have the details. You have, what am I on? I'm on survival mode. What do I have to do to get through this? And, this is what's so great about HaBayit, because they come in And it's not just that we gave you a place to stay, right? It's also that, and I've seen it just through the chat, that there's also this emotional support. I've seen people come through. There's a conversation that happens with the guests. Where come to Shabbat to us. Come, whatever you need. You need a ride, like and it's got to be, when you are feeling so bad, and I can tell you, I know what that is. When you're feeling so bad, you barely have the koyak to make it to the doctor's office. And here you are, somebody in Klal Yisrael that you've never met before is now stopping what they're doing in life to go help you in your moment of need. I think it's got to be so heartwarming to Hashem. I can't even imagine how much zechuyot you guys are producing for Klal Yisrael, because this is such a tremendous, this checks so many boxes that Hashem wants to see from us, that we're in it together. When one is down, we all come in as a community. This is exactly what Klal Yisrael is supposed to be. And I can't imagine, this has got to be the ultimate soul food. This has got to be the ultimate soul care for you.
I love it. I love it. It's definitely hard to see the hurting of the people coming. And I feel people's pain in a very real way. But somebody told me once, she said, instead of crying for the pain that you see, take that pain and do something about it. And that's what I try to do, whether it's, even if it's just praying for them, praying for the person, or doing an action like HaBayit, or helping, whatever the situation is, trying to help the person that's hurting.
I think, like you said, I think that so many of us, we want to, and I think, again, here's where technology becomes like a star for people who are from. You want to kind of get this out to this is where social media, get it out. This is what we do. This is, how can I help? How can I be a part of it? And I want to say, Bli, I'm going to put the link down if you want to donate. Now, just keep in mind, HaBayit, this is a service that is for Jewish people only. So it does cater to the Jewish community. But even if you're not Jewish and you want to be a part in helping in such a project like this, you can definitely donate. And, you never know what this will do for you. I always say, like, when you're investing, and there's been Torah scholars, I think, that have gone through the HaBayit system already. There have been rabbis who've gone through, when you somebody get up on their feet, you have no idea what kind of zechuyot that brings up for you in this world and in the next. Hesed is something that it's such a shield for you. And to help somebody in their hour of need, there is no greater thing than this. I think this is exactly that. You're feeling somebody else's pain, that you want to do something, you want to help. And I think that HaBayit provides this opportunity for people. And again, I'm going to link this, the link to HaBayit down. You want to see what they're about. And I'm going to try to post even, I made a promotional video. I'm going to post this out. And so it's easy for you guys if you want to share that with your social media groups. I know you're in a HaBayit house now, which I love that painting in the back because I love blues.
Yes.
So give us a tour and let us see like what HaBayit is given to the people.
Okay, let me see if I know how to turn this around. There we go. Okay, so this apartment, somebody was here for several months. A young boy waiting for a new heart. They were here for a few left. So this is like the living room area. And we have a washer dryer in the apartment. We usually stock the fridge before our new family comes in. So we're going to do that this week. And I think that they did some of the cabinets, or we stocked them up. There's pots and pans and in all,
Wait, Eva, go back to that other cabinet because did you guys see that? Goya! Yes!
mi gente! Is that your family, Goya?
No, but believe it or not, the Goya family is actually from the same town as my grandmother. So like we're all, like I always say, that's our people.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Here's one bedroom. And we try to make it as bright and just comfortable so they could feel as at home as possible.
I got to tell you, this must have been a tremendous weight off of this family's shoulders. To be able to come in, you're talking months, a heart transplant, mamish, that is a tremendous, thing to go through.
Yes. And we have all types of situations. We have women who are pregnant, who have the baby has a heart defect. They need to come give birth in New York. We have babies that have cancer. We have so many different things going on. And to actually have a community behind them supporting them, because you have to realize they don't know where they are. They're coming here and they don't know where they don't know where the grocery store is. So we give them a list of restaurants. We give them a list of places to shop. We give them like all types of things to help them through their journey. Here we did games. We did, someone donated flowers. Everything in this apartment was donated, from the furniture to the decor to
Beautiful.
the paintings, the dishes. We even put like games and books that someone donated, and we try to make it as comfortable as possible.
So I want to tell people, I mean, HaBayit is such a special thing. And for all those who are out there who saying, that's such a big thing, I could never. I mean, Eva, tell me, how did you start out? Because this, we've got a few minutes. I really want to talk about, like, this is something, we always talk about, this is above me. It's bigger than me. And the truth is that there's so much power in the power of one. Like if you have a desire, Shem can bring you. I mean, I want you to remind people, like, your little, like, really quickly, your journey from, a gal who was like rebelling in SNEU to now, doing this tremendous project in Hesed. I mean, tell me about this. This is just tremendous.
So really, something I always tell people is something that you yourself want to grow in, or you yourself want to do, just ask Hashem for help. If you ask Hashem for help, He really will listen to you. And I have a story that, I wanted to grow, but I threw it up to Hashem. And I'll give you a little bit of how I found my connection to Hashem, because yeah, as a teenager, I was definitely connected, but not in the way that I am now. And I'll never forget, I was 9 months pregnant with my first baby. I was going to work. I needed to get a lift from my brother-in-law that day. And I worked in Edison, New Jersey. So it was an hour drive. He picked me up. I get into the car and I see that he has a Torah class on in the car. And now I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I have to listen to this. I should have brought my headphones. I should have brought my iPad, iPod, whatever it was. And I said, okay, instead I'm going to go to sleep. I lay down on the seat and I'm trying to fall asleep, but I couldn't help but listen to hear a few parts of that Torah class. And don't ask me what it was about, because I don't remember, but this was like 15 years ago. Whatever it was lit up my neshama. And I was like, I found myself gripping the seat of the car saying like, wow, it was talking directly to me, whatever the Torah class was. And I have no doubt that Hashem put that specific CD in the car for me to hear. There's no question about it. The next day, again, he picked me up. And now I'm a little bit excited. Oh, maybe there's going to be another class in the car, and there was a class. And again, I had the same reaction. I was like, my neshama lit up, and it was something that was speaking to me. And I heard in the class, it was Rabbi Elon Mansour. He said, 11.
I love his classes, by the way. I mean, he knows how to gut punch the neshama really good.
Definitely. And it was like a moment for me that I'll never forget, that moment. And he said in the tape, 11 o'clock, ladies class, Deal, New Jersey. I said, okay, you know what? I'm off on Fridays. I don't go to work. I'll go to the class. So I walked into the class with my t-shirt and I found the skirt in my closet, and I loved it. I loved it. I couldn't stop thinking about the class all week. And again, the next Friday I went, and the Friday after that, and then I gave birth to my daughter, my first daughter. And after, when she was like a couple of weeks old and I was ready to start going out of the house, I was already back in Brooklyn, because before I was in Deal for the summer. I was in Jersey for the summer. And I looked up, when does Rabbi Mansour have classes? And I saw it was Monday nights. And so I asked my husband, I said, do you think you could watch the baby? I want to go to this class. He said, yeah, sure. So I started to go every single Monday night, and I loved it. And when it came time for me to start shopping, because none of my jeans fit me, my prenatals were too big, my other ones were too small, I started to buy skirts. Nothing set in stone. It was just what I was feeling at the time. It was the energy that I was feeling. And slowly, I became more religious, until like maybe it was a year and a half later, I wanted to wear a wig so badly. I wanted to cover my hair, but it was just something that like was just too difficult. So instead of me going and doing it, because I couldn't do it, I just couldn't do it, I prayed to Hashem every day. And I didn't tell anybody about this. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell my siblings. But I said, Hashem, I want to do this mitzvah, but it's just too hard. Like, all my friends are still the way, that I was 2 years ago. And It's just too much for me. It's too much for me to just all of a sudden walk out one day with a hair, with something on my head.
You know, and a lot of people have this same struggle even with the mitpachat. They feel like they have a really a hard time with this as well. They want to take on this mitzvah and they feel like that everyone else will have the hard time with it.
Right, exactly. And like, it could be with any mitzvah. There's certain things that I still do today that let's say I struggle with, and I'll cry to Hashem and I'll pray to Hashem. And I did this day after day after day. I cried and I prayed, Hashem, please, I really want to do it, but I can't do it. You have to help me. You have to do it for me. Like, I can't do it. And one day Hashem did it for me. I got a call from my mother. She said there was a big rabbi by her house. And at the time, one of my siblings had cancer. And this rabbi, out of nowhere, told my mother, you know, one of your siblings, one of your daughters doesn't cover her hair. Call her up and tell her that if she covers her hair before Rosh Hashanah, now we're like 6 days before Rosh Hashanah, tell her if she covers her hair before Rosh Hashanah, that her sister's going to get better. And he gave me a very big beracha. And tell her that when she puts the wig on, to imagine her sister better and everything's going to be great. And my mother didn't know that I wanted to cover my hair. She had no idea. She called me up and she said, do you want to cover your hair? Do you want to do this? I said, like, my jaw dropped to the floor. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, like, no, she didn't know that I was crying for the last few months that I wanted to do this. Right. Basically, Hashem did it. Obviously, it's very clear that Hashem, you know, set the pieces up, and he had this rabbi come and just actually get me to do it. And even further, he worked it out in a way that when I went to put the wig on, the lady in the store set it up in a way that, like, you know, a little bit of a drop of my hair was showing, didn't even look like a wig. I walked out. I went to my mother-in-law's house. She said, oh, I love your hair. She didn't even know that it was a wig. Nobody knew it was a wig. And every time I put the wig on, I, you know, imagined my sister better. And thank God, a couple of months later, she was, Baruch Hashem, a million times, may she live and be well. She was all better.
And let me ask you, like, so you're starting to come into these classes now, and was the Rav looking at you like, oh my gosh, this girl's doing like a total like 180, like she's totally turned around, like she's coming in with jeans, and you know, I mean, they must really be very proud of you and the fact that, like, you've really, you know, you've come from like, I don't even want to listen to Torah. This is like, you know, right. And now it's like you're doing these wonderful things in Chesed and connecting with Hashem. I mean, what are the Rabbanim now saying? Like, I remember you when. They must be like, I remember you when.
I don't know if they remember, because I didn't wear jeans in the class. Like, I would always come in with a skirt, you know?
At least you knew enough to do that. Some people will just go in and just be like, you know.
Right. But I'm sure they maybe some of them have known how I was when I was in high school. And I was always I was a good girl. I was very spiritual, but I wasn't on this level. And I have to tell you that, like, dressing is just a level. Like, everybody, I don't judge anyone for the way they dress, because religion is in here and it's beautiful to dress in you, and it's just another level that people are on. But I know plenty of people that are not on that level yet, and they're amazing people. They're spiritual, they're religious, they're beautiful people. You know, so I never like
it's been a tremendous pleasure to kind of go on your journey with you. I mean, it is so, like I said, I think that when you are connecting to Hashem and you are doing something that is your calling, I mean, look, Hashem clearly gave you, you know, he gave you a talent in real estate, and now you've taken that talent and put it into action for Klal Yisrael. I think that there's like, that's the greatest investment I think that Hashem wants to see out of his children, that I gave you a talent and look what you're doing with it. And it's just a tremendous thing to see, you know, women, we're still connected because our lives are a lot busier than they used to be. And before we leave off today, any last minute words of Hizuk that you want to give out to the women about, you know, just connecting when life is mamish really about to fall apart? Like, what do you say to women who are looking to you? Because again, I think that a lot of us, we tend to compare. And I can't imagine that there aren't women out there who aren't looking at you and say, she's got it all together. What do you say? What do you say to these? Because again, it's like the Instagram, you know, that snapshot moment. It shows it that there's all this balagan, you know, shifting and moving. So what do you say to women who are in this predicament, who says, wow, that's working for Eva, but not for me? This is why I really wanted people to hear a little bit about your story, because I mean, again, you weren't always like, at a level where you were saying, you didn't even want to listen to a Torah, share. And now things have totally changed. So, I mean, I think that women can really find themselves in your story. What do you say to women who say, that may have worked for Eva, but not for me?
My life is far from perfectly put together. It is a balagan. There's always something going on, so many things going on. And what I'm going to say is just keep Hashem close to you. Like Hashem is my best friend. He knows everything that I'm doing. I talk to him every second, where I'm going, what I'm doing, ask him for help. And I throw things up to him all the time. I say, Hashem, I'm throwing this up to you. Like, it's just not something that has to be, it's beautiful, like I do, to wake up early and pray with kavanah. But like, if you can't do that in your place in your life, in your time in your life, then don't throw your hands up and give up. Like, you could keep him with you wherever you're doing, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And that would be my advice to everybody.
I mean, I think those were such great words to leave off with. All right, everybody. So if you want to know more about HaBayit, Bli Neder, I'm going to put the link down. You can find out what HaBayit is about. It is a service for Jewish people who are going through surgery or medical treatment in the New York area. You can reach out to them. If you want to do a donation, that will also be on there. And I pray that you will get involved as far as, listen, people are all over the world who are seeing this. Send a donation. This can really help somebody in their hour of need. And I think that's exactly what Hashem wants of us, to help each other. And I think that's what makes this, project so much more special, is that it's people that you don't know coming to your aid in your most vulnerable time of need. I mean, mamish, these people, some of them have one foot in life and death. And to have this kind of hizuk, this may also be what is getting them that refuah, that they're having this opportunity to feel the love of their community around them. So again, Eva Shammah, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for your work in HaBayit. I pray that Bezrat Hashem, that Hashem will give me an opportunity somehow to be a part of it or do even more. It's a special project to me because I myself know what it is to go through these things. And, something like this could have made all the difference, I think, for a lot of people who are watching this to have been part of this. So please reach out. You find the links on below. Eva, it's been such a pleasure. I pray that you will continue to grow in this project, that we will see this worldwide, and that every community will have their own HaBayit and will be an active part of it, the way it's going down in Brooklyn. Bezrat Hashem, I hope that I will see it with my own eyes. It's such a beautiful project. Thank you, Eva. That's it for today, and I hope we'll all be together again soon. Bezrat Hashem.
Thank you, Devorah.
If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Sikol mitzvot.